I work during the day, and then I get home, and it's like, like how much am I getting out of like Melee at the moment?
Yeah.
And I think for a long time it was like, oh well, there's like the prospect of getting better, and the prospect of like events sort of keep you going. But at the moment, it's like uh, the reward, like the return for investment's just awful.
Yeah.
I
No, I hear that. I mean,
um
by the sounds of it as well, I'm guessing do you like go into the office or whatever for work?
mm,
Okay.
yeah, maybe that's going to change next week with things being restricted again. But
Yeah.
we were technically key workers.
Okay.
Um, we deliver a lot of like software for pharmaceutical and water companies.
Right.
So them projects didn't really stop, so we had to keep working on them. Um,
Yeah, because I was gonna say I found it easier when I was working from home to just like play after work or whatever. So I don't have the
mm,
commute. Um, yeah, I don't know how your work is as well, but like with mine, it's like pretty easy to like take breaks and stuff as well. So I usually just like mess around and Uncle Punch or whatever if I have a
yeah,
spare 5 minutes or whatever. But obviously, it might not be the same case for you.
yeah, I can do that. Yeah,
Mm,
I guess I can I can practice a bit like during the day. I can
yeah.
watch like I could have like if I'm doing sort of like more mundane programming tasks, I can sort of like have a set on in the background or something whilst I'm doing it, or if I'm doing documentation.
Mm, yeah, I think like you said, it's just about prioritizing your time. Like, um, if we go back to like what you said your goals were when we first started, it was about like making PR was the main one.
Yeah,
Um, like, if you think about the situation now, that's just like not a, you can never like see the result if that makes sense because there's no PR happening.
yeah,
Um,
and I'm kind of doubtful there would even be one next year. Like I don't think events are going to be probably running again next year even.
hmm. So I think what we need to do sadly is either come up with another goal,
Mm.
um, or just like stop playing for a bit, take it less seriously until events come back, and then you can like sort of get back on that track. I mean, you can of course play the long game, which is like kind of what I'm doing to be honest, because I still want to win like an American event or something, but it's going to be 2 or 3 years probably
Yeah,
because it's like worse over there. And I'm just like, well, I've got this time, I may as well put it towards that. But I think with smaller goals like with you've got, I think it would be fine to take a break if you did want to, and then come back to it. Um,
yeah. One thing I'm considering is because I'm probably switching to box as well.
okay.
Is wait for that to come and then start playing again
Mm.
once that's come back and try and get back to a similar level, and then probably start like taking it a bit more seriously again. Once
Yeah,
like I'm able to at least do fundamental things.
yeah. I think relearning on a different controller is kind of interesting because there'll be a lot of muscle memory you have in certain situations that you'll have just broken essentially because you're playing with another controller.
Mm.
But I think there can also be a lot of frustration that comes with like what
Not
to
sure
do but you
your
can't
level.
execute it.
Yeah, I've been practicing stuff on keyboard, and even that can be frustrating.
Yeah,
So I think there will be challenges associated
to
with
do
it.
with that. Yeah,
Um, yeah, because like if for it's kind of like with I'm picturing it as something similar to the character crisis thing I had before, where like you always have that in the back of your mind that oh, if I was playing on like GameCube controller, I could beat this guy.
yeah,
And I think that will be a hurdle to overcome for sure.
yeah. I think if you do start thinking like that, you just got to think of the long term and be like, this is going to work better for me. Like have reasons that you can tell yourself. Like I'm going to guess it's because it helps with like hand pain.
Yeah,
Um,
hand paving and like um, price honestly, like I've just gotten used to having good controllers, and now if I want another one, it's like 200, 250 quid. It's like
yeah, I may as well just buy a box. Yeah,
yeah, it's like the same price, so why not just buy it, put the few like 6 months work in, and get back to the same level and
Yeah,
I think Box has a lot of benefits over GameCube controller as well that people just don't talk about.
yeah, but but yeah, that would be my approach if you end up with any of those like mental blockades or whatever. Is just having it really clear like why you're doing what you're doing, and if that reason's strong enough, then it should sort of override any I could be in this guy if I was playing on my controller sort of
Yeah,
feeling. Um,
yeah, I'm certain that will come up at some point. Maybe not so much against like it'll probably be more so if I was to enter a more high pressure situation like an online tournament or something like that. That would come
yeah.
out, I think.
Um, yeah, it's like I said, there is that approach, or we could try and find like some other goals to set yourself instead.
Mm.
Um, so
Yeah, because I don't because I played Melee basically every day for 5 years. I find myself just playing it anyway.
yeah,
So I don't like apart from when my hands were really bad and it was like even then it took like a week or two of like it getting worse and worse for me to actually stop.
mm,
I find myself just booting it up like if I've got like 5 minutes and just like going into Uncle Punch and just moving around on nail cancel or exercise or whatever.
yeah,
So I think it's hard to just quit completely.
yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't just stop playing completely. I would just play it more for fun and not be as focused. But I think like we were saying before and after you had like your goal set and stuff, I feel like it made it a lot clearer to you like where the progress was and how you were improving, and like made it easier to fix any problems you had. So I think playing without any sort of goal, if you do care about results and stuff at all, is it can be like pretty dangerous, um, in terms of like mentality or whatever. But if you just want to play the game for fun for 3 to 6 months, I'd do that.
I don't know. I think if I was to just say I'm playing for fun, I would probably regret it at the end of it.
Yeah.
Like when like stuff started coming around or something, I'd probably regret not putting in the effort
Mm.
during this period. But I think what you're describing, like the last week or two I've been able to play, is like without goals, without like some concrete direction to go in, it feels like my mentality's slipping again. Like I
Yeah.
don't really care about playing people, or I'll just quit out if like I don't like a play style or something.
Yeah.
Which I
Um,
don't think is something I want to reinforce.
yeah. I just mentioned it because I actually had the same thing when I was going through my slump in like May, June. Because I was doing those notes I've told you to do every week from like January to March or so, like while events were on. Because it made it just really easy to structure, like, how am I going to practice during the week? What am I preparing for at the weekend?
Mm-hmm.
And all of that stuff. So it's pretty easy to see progress, and like I've looked back through those and it felt good. But then during that like May June period or whatever, I just did nothing like that. I was just like, I'm just gonna play whoever's available, and I've got a rough idea of what I want to work on, but I haven't got it like written down or anything. I'm not reviewing what I'm doing. So then 2 weeks have passed, and I've like, well, what have I done in this time? And then the consequence of that is that when I play in a tournament, I've got low confidence because I'm like, oh, I haven't practiced very hard for this. When in reality, I have. I just haven't got it written down and worked through it. But I forgot what my original point was now.
It was about like mentality. Like the last thing I said was like quitting out against people I don't like, or like being like having low motivation, I guess.
Yeah, so I think it goes hand in hand with like having motivation. Is when something's like easy to work on, like with the coming back from work example. If I have written down exactly what I'm going to do to practice, then it makes it a hell of a lot easier to like work up the motivation, energy, whatever, to actually do it, instead of like having to spend energy thinking, right, I've got to figure out what I need to practice today and who I'm going to message to play or where I'm going to look or whatever, and it just becomes like that can be the difference between playing and not playing sometimes.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, there's definitely been times where I probably would have played, or at least when I played, I would have had a better structure or
Yeah.
like thought process going into it.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. Did you enter any more of the net play things? I don't know how many you entered in the end.
Let me have a look quickly at my past notes. Just trying to think when the last one I entered was.
Because I think you're entering the UK ones, right? The Monday.
Yeah, I was entering the UK ones, and I was entering the Italian
Oh, okay.
ones. September 14th was like the last one I entered, I think. Oh, I didn't write any notes. That's good on me. I've got like the introduction bit, and then what I'd done well was just blank.
So, yeah, can you just see like roughly how many you entered? Was it like 3 or 4 or?
Oh, how many I entered in general? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
3, 4, 5, 6. I entered like 7 or 8, I think.
Okay.
Maybe a few more. I think it was about a 4 or 5 week period where I was entering 2 or 3 a week.
Yeah, because I was going to say one of the things you could do if you did want some sort of new goal is to like sort of use, because you want like a measure of progress, right? So I would use something like the weeklies and use it as a yardstick of like getting to a certain point in the bracket or beating a certain player. It's not ideal because of like how much bracket luck affects how you do and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be going in thinking I want to get top 8 because that could rely on like a billion different factors. But did you ever go to any like weeklies or stuff like that?
We don't really have them down here.
Okay.
No, the only thing we ever had in any sort of structure was when Jess and Seven Sam had like the weekly Smash House, and that wasn't like.
But there wasn't like a bracket or anything. For it,
no, I was just like friendlies.
Yeah, because I was going to say one of the biggest motivators I remember was I used to go to weeklies, and I'll admit I was at the top of my weekly for pretty much all the time it's happening, even when I was bad. But one of the big things I used to do was think about like who I wanted to try and beat in bracket this week. And I know that's what Aiken did actually for the longest time, and he definitely like got better quite quickly. So having something similar for that with the UK one could be something, because there's a lot of people that like enter it pretty frequently, I feel like.
Yeah. People that enter it.
Yeah.
That was the last one I entered, and I lost to Liam. I got really annoyed.
Yeah, so it is hard because I mean I don't know the exact reasons why you want to get PR, whether it's just like the sort of title of PR player, or you think that's a good skill level you want to get to, or something like that.
I think so. I think it's like a benchmark, and like in kind of any game, I guess as an individual you have sort of like a internal range where you think you could get. And maybe that's just my problem. I set that range as like maybe if I tried really hard, I could get PR.
Yeah.
Obviously, that hasn't worked out. So like in it, and I think this is the first game where I've had that internal range and then not been able to get it.
Yeah,
every other game has like been pretty easy comparatively.
Yeah, I mean, from what I can tell, I've tried a few games in ranked, and from what I would tell, the like skill gaps in melee are way bigger, and also you got to remember that like I have no idea how many UK people there are in like UK melee. I'm gonna ballpark 1,000.
Yeah,
and like so we have a top 25, so that's like what 0.25% is ranked, which would be the equivalent of like what grand champ in some online like esports game or whatever. Whereas like, you know, other games you have like bronze all the way up to whatever the highest rank is, and it's got a full like skill distribution. Whereas in the UK one, unless you have like a regional PR, you got to be in the top 0.25% of people to have that ranking. So
Yeah.
I do think that is a flaw of UK Melee in general. So, but yeah, it's just something to think about. Like, I think if we can sort of dissect why you want to get on the PR, then we can sort of like draft up some of the goals from that. And I mean, we did talk about in the first lesson as well how like we want to break that down into like getting good at certain matchups, being able to beat certain players. So maybe it's about sort of focusing on those parts more than like the end goal of PR. But I mean, I will admit it is hard because it is like the overarching thing, and it's just not there at the moment or for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I'm kind of concerned that even if, like, say COVID never happened, I guess a concern is that, like, I would have less time to put in because I would be commuting even more, or, like, weekend events, like, take up time and money and resources and, like, time away from my partner and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, if I put all that effort in and then I still don't make any, like, noticeable headway towards that, it's like, kind of, what am I doing with my time? Like, if I'm putting in 20, 25, 30 hours a week into this thing and giving up, like, my weekends, it's like...
Yeah.
There's, like, a bit of diminishing returns. I do know what you mean, like, as well with, like, only the top, like, 2.25 get ranked, and other... like, in America, you've got, like, regionals where you get, like, top 20 ranked in your region.
Yeah. I do think it is easy to fixate on like just the results and playing competitively aspect of Smash. And if that's the main reason you go to tournaments, then fair enough. That's the case for me. But a lot of people find like the social aspect of it really nice as well. But I don't know how it is for you. But I've been missing that aspect of it as well since all the COVID stuff's been happening. So
I enjoyed spending time with Breeze and some of the other people. I kind of have a pretty big disconnect with a lot of the Melee community because I'm a decent amount older.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 28 next month, so like a lot of the stuff that's like talked about or discussed or stuff is just not really.
It's just drama. Yeah.
Well, it's like drama that I'm just like, I remember being like 16 and like having like A levels or something.
Yeah.
So it's not so relatable for that. So it's purely just competition. Like, I've always done some form of competition in my life.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, I think it's a bit disingenuous to go, like, I play in 30 hours a week and still go 1 or 2, so it's not worth it, because I don't think that's, like, the full picture. And I think there's a lot of, like, transferable life skills you can learn from getting good at Melee as well, or at least that was the case for me. So I wouldn't say it's, like, all a waste or whatever. Yeah.
I've definitely found playing other games easier.
Yeah.
Like, they're not easier in terms of, like, mechanically, like, understanding the processes and what's important to learn. And, like, with TFT, I think I got Diamond in 100 games because I was able to, like, look at what really mattered.
Yeah.
And, like, break down, oh, this is what, like, the top players are doing. These are, like, the sort of patterns that I want to be following. So I think it's made me better at learning. I think one of the main things it just brought out is just like how like short-term focused I am. Like, everything is like instant gratification. Like, I want to see the results. If I'm not seeing the results, I assume something I'm doing is wrong, or something about like a matchup is wrong, or like I just assume that I've got something wrong because I'd normally figure it out pretty quick if not.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like most of the way society's built at the moment is around like instant gratification. So I don't really, I wouldn't blame yourself for that. That's just how like we naturally are now. I feel like,
Yeah.
but
It's like I can like have like an outburst where I just like, even if it's like in my own head, like where I'm thinking like this is dumb.
yeah,
Like I'm just putting in this work, and even if I haven't put in like a ridiculous amount of work, it's like
it's still
I'm not.
time.
Yeah, but I'm not able to like have like a long term goal, or like I don't. Even if I'm telling myself I trust like the process, like I'm going through these steps, I'm doing lessons, I'm taking notes. In the
Yeah.
back of my head, I'm just like, this is dumb. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go. Like I'm just gonna lose to Euro again, or I'm just gonna lose to like I'm gonna lose to things that when I look back on it, it's just like I can instantly figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, I get those thoughts too all the time, so you're not alone in that. And I think a lot of people do as well. Um, so it does sound like a combination of like, your end goal isn't something that you can see results of at the moment, and it sounds like you're also a bit unconfident that it's possible as well. Is like the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, I guess like I'm not confident that even in perfect scenarios, like in the perfect scenario, I'd be able to do it.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and maybe that's because all the other games or competitions I've done have sort of like given me feedback very quickly.
Yeah. I mean,
Like when I done sports, it was very instant. Like you find out there and then if you win or not.
yeah.
Um, Games have like progression rank systems, so if you start like plateauing, it's very like in any sort of like ranked game now, it's very quick to like point out I've been at gold for 50 games. What am I doing that plat people aren't doing or something?
Yeah. Um, I mean, ranked is on the horizon for Slippy as well, so it might be an option to just wait out that as well.
Mm.
Um, I think, to be honest, I've seen a lot of people in some of the EU discords have been complaining about the same thing, where it feels like, there's not much to play for at the moment. But then when ranked comes out, they'll be a lot more motivated. So, um, I think that's an option. But like I said, if we did go with the weeklies approach, like using that as a way to sort of yardstick your progress, a lot of the people that enter that are PR or PR level. So, do you feel like if you were, say, you were doing the UK tournament and you were like beating Mordo and getting like first or second or third or whatever, do you think that would make you feel more like believe more that you could reach PR level? Or
Dude, I think I was sick if I was doing that.
well, question answered then.
I think it's more about like playing at that level.
Hmm.
Like I think even if the PR isn't about or whatever, if I'm playing at that level and I'm like, I feel, yeah, I don't know how to explain it.
Because it sounds to me like, just when you said about playing at the level, from everything you've said so far, it feels like you're more hung up on reaching a certain rank or getting a certain status rather than like playing in like good ways, if that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe I am. Yeah.
Because the lack of like having tournaments and stuff shouldn't affect how you see yourself playing the game, right? Like you can still play other people, if not more people than you could before, and so you can improve on your game that way. But I mean, and it isn't a bad thing if you want to, have that rank or title or something to define like your skill or whatever. It just makes it a bit harder in an environment like we are in now.
I think it's probably like the main thing is probably not tied to ranked or playing well. It's like recognition from like your peers that
Yeah.
you are at a level.
Yeah.
Kind of in the same way that like I don't know, you get it even in work or something where like you have like a role model at work and you're able to perform a job and you're like you get recognition that you're performing at a level.
Yeah.
And
You feel like that's what you're after with this as well, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think if there was like, I don't know, if it was kind of just like agreed upon that I was at like a decent level, or like I was considered like a threat for like doing
Hmm.
well in these tournaments, or like I don't feel like I've ever been at a point where I could even like say to myself that I'm a good player.
Yeah. Okay, that
Let,
makes
let
sense.
alone let alone like other people saying it about me.
Hmm. Um. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think I had a pretty similar thing when I was getting PR, going up that or whatever. I cared a lot about getting people to say, "Oh, he's getting better" or whatever. I'm a bit scared to play him or whatever. Um, so, but the funny part about it for me is that, like you said, you weren't very involved with
The social
like the
stuff.
social side of it.
Like, why do I
Yeah,
care if the
yeah.
16-year-old kid thinks I'm sick?
But no, that was how I was as well because I wasn't very social. Obviously, I was like 14 or 15 or whatever. So
Mm.
again, there was a bit of an age gap, so it was pretty hard to fit in. But then, like as soon as I got to the level I'm at or close to, I will admit it became a lot more enjoyable once I was just good at the game and I could go to events and
I think a lot of players see that as well. That it's like if you're good, you're not like part of this club, but it's like everybody in the venue knows who you are. You don't have to like introduce yourself or have someone go,
yeah,
"Who do you play?" Like you're able to easily start conversations with people.
yeah,
Like people
um,
want to start conversations with you, and I feel like everybody else is just looking at the top players
yeah,
at events and wanting to interact with them.
yeah. It's the actual top player privilege. But yeah, no, I've had it where I've been to a few events with one of my mates who was like kind of new to the game,
Mm.
and just like the difference in experience for him versus my experience, it was just like night and day. And he got quite down about his performance and didn't enjoy the event as much as I felt he could have. So I do think it's a bit of a struggle at first, but then like the better you get, the easier it becomes in those regards. It's obviously harder in some aspects, like improving gets harder and stuff like that. But I do think there are real benefits that people don't like to talk about. Really, like they don't like to acknowledge that top player privilege sort of things exist, but it just does. So
Yeah, it exists in all facets of life, I think.
yeah,
But like most others are way more obtainable than being sick at this really niche game that's nebulous and hard to be good at.
yeah. I mean, it's just like we live in a meritocracy, right? So a lot of
Mm.
things um, are like that. Um,
Maybe that's why it is that I've always found merit comes quite easily. Like I've never had to work that much for it. And
yeah.
now that I'm not in that group where I'm considered good and it's not really coming, maybe I'm just like fixating on that too much.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shock when that happened. I mean, I don't know how. Have you had any other like hobbies or pursuits you've done where you found it really hard and not found success?
Chess about 5 years ago.
Okay.
I think I quit League in like 2014 playing that, and then I was playing chess, and um, I didn't really get very good at that.
Hmm.
I had a similar sort of feeling where it's like if I needed to start this before, or like you put in like a few hundred hours and you go from being like 700 elo to like 1300 elo,
Hmm.
and nobody even gives a fuck unless you're like 2k.
Yeah. Um, I mean, if you do care about the sort of notoriety part of Melee, there is always the option of like. Um,
What are you gonna suggest right now?
no, of like social media stuff, right? So, for example, someone like Bobby has like more, fans and followers and subs and all that than like someone like
Magi or something like
Magi
this.
or Albert or someone or Falco, like even Ginger, right? That's like clearly better than him. Or maybe not. I don't know about the other two, but like you see my point, right? Where like
Yeah.
even before he was top 100, he was a lot more known than even like me or you know, a lot of the other people that are technically like around the same level as him, but you know. So if that is like more of what you care about is just, you know, being pretty recognized and being like decent at the game, then I think that's an option to go down as well.
I've I do think it's like a viable option. I think the thing is I've always done it through actual merit before,
Yeah,
and I've always kind of looked down on that.
that way of doing it. Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, it's like anyone can do what they want in life, but it's like in work you get the suck ups that like get promotions through
Yeah,
socializing, and that's kind of the same sort of cop out way. Like that's not how I would want to
yeah,
approach it. Like I feel like don't really deserve it if I haven't earned it through merit.
yeah. No, that's fair. That's exactly how I feel as well. And I, you know, I look at someone like Bobby and I'm just like, fuck, man. If I did the same as him, then you know, I could be in that position.
And obviously, like it could, if you were to like fake that and get the same opportunities of like going to Summit, for
Yeah,
example. Like he went to Summit, he like does not deserve it.
yeah.
But like what that could do for somebody that's not based on that.
Yeah, and it's like, well, you know, if you don't want to get it that way and you want to, you know, reach your goals your way, then you know that's what you got to do. You don't want to just like, you know, cheat yourself basically.
Yeah, I don't think I would even be able to. Like, I just don't think I'm that way inclined at all.
Yeah, that's fair. It does make it a little bit harder, obviously, for people like us. Like, if I think about the sort of landscape of UK Melee, right, a lot of the people that are like known by a lot of people and stuff like that are just like very good at socializing and play really cool and stuff like that, rather than, you know, very hardworking and, you know, improving all the time and stuff. Like that only happened to someone like me and Sechi when we were at like top 10 level or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think it is good that we've sort of like figured that out though, because it does make it a bit easier to see like what you need to do and like what motivates you basically. So for example, if you won a Netplay weekly, right? I feel like that would be a big boost in terms of like getting recognition and stuff, because you know you'd have everybody talking in like, UK social or on Twitter or whatever about that. Or if you upset someone, for example. So
yeah, I think so. I think you're right. It's kind of like, I don't know, a bit of a shallow reason for wanting to do it. Like I do think a lot of people kind of misrepresent why they want to be good. Like I think at a certain level, everybody has to love the game to play it that much, and everybody has to like competition to love it that much. But I think a lot of people pretend that it's very pure. The reason they're doing it. I think a lot of people don't talk about like, I don't know, being part of like the group that's considered good, like getting recognition.
Yeah, they're all like, "Oh, I just do it because Melee's a sick game."
Yeah,
like, I think it's just a bit dishonest. Yeah, like you said.
But that's how. I don't see like other games do it so much, but Melee really, because Melee is actually sick, and it's not like a trash game we got to pretend to like.
Yeah.
Like people represent that as the sole reason for playing. It's just like true love for the game. I don't.
Yeah, and I think also the fact that a lot of it is offline events makes it so that if you are good, there's like, I mean, I'm sure you know about like the top player aura, right? Where it's just like
the peach.
no, as in like, you know, if you see Leffen at an event, he's just got this like aura around him of like, I am the top player.
Yeah, I thought you meant like the actual peach.
Oh no, not the peach player, but yeah, like, whereas you know, if you're thinking about League players or something, I don't know, you know, it's all online, right? So it isn't the same sort of vibe, and you know, I don't think you feel the recognition in the same way.
Yeah, and you're also like comparing against just your peers. So like, if you and your mates play like Rocket League, for example, and they've all been stuck in plat for ages, and you get diamond, they're like, oh, wow, you're sick of this game, or you'll talk to them about tips, and even just having like a little bit more knowledge makes you seem like you're sick of this game.
Yeah.
Even though like comparatively you're like if you're like a Grandmaster person or
Then,
whatever
yeah,
the top
just-
rank is,
Yeah.
it's like you've just got fundamentals down.
Mm.
But like you said, Melee's
It's just different to a lot of other competitive games and pursuits.
like you said, there's a physical aspect to it as well. Like there's like a community aspect to it that not a lot of other games actually have.
Yeah, and
Maybe
like
it does if you're like a top 100 challenger in league or something. You hang out with other and talk to other challenger people. But
yeah, and I mean, like with any sort of social environment or whatever, there's always going to be like leaders and role models, and a lot of people unfortunately don't get as much attention as they deserve or whatever. But yeah, from the sounds of it, I do think depending on how your hands are and like how long it takes for this box to come, I do think continuing to like practice and enter the weeklies and have getting further in the bracket and trying to beat people as a goal, I think that would be motivating. It's just that you need that like that one spark, of like where that first upset you get or whatever, that like sort of proves you're making progress.
I think so. I think that makes sense because like my instant reaction to what you said was like that would be really cool if that happened. Basically.
Yeah, so like if that's your unfiltered, like that was your first reaction, that's definitely like what you want deep down inside, right?
Yeah,
and you got to play to that and like work on that.
It sounds lame, but have you ever watched Haiku?
I've watched bits of it. I've watched quite a few sports anime, so
okay. It's basically there's a moment where one of the players basically is just like asking another like, "Do you enjoy like this sport?"
yeah.
And he's like, "No, not really. Like I just do it." And it's like, well, maybe it's because you suck. And when you have that like one moment where you do something good, you'll love the game. Like you'll enjoy it so much. I feel like it's like not to be like the stereotypical anime protagonist.
I feel you. Yeah.
Twitter account. But,
Yeah.
like it's like if you never have that moment where like you upset someone or you beat somebody decent, yeah, it just kind of sucks. It's just kind of shit.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I don't know.
Like obviously there's nobody else to blame. Like it's not as if like
you had that
can
team
blame.
or
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, like Melee's quite rough in that respect, where like you can't really be delusional.
Mm.
Or maybe you can. You can be delusional about your skill until you beat
get
somebody.
beat
I
down.
guess. Yeah.
But so have you ordered a box then, or?
Yeah, I ordered one. August, end of August, when my hands were starting to get worse. I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to think in terms of like timeline. What would be the best? Because I'm guessing they take about 6 months to come, right? Or
It's hacks. I don't know.
yeah, I know. Like Nikki's took a long time. But
Nicky's got that top player privilege. He ordered his.
maybe it's
got it 2
Kinzo.
weeks later. I know Kinzo did.
Yeah, it was either Kinzo or Pipsqueak. It took like forever. I'm not surprised Nikki got his pretty quickly.
Dude, I saw Nicky post in like Q&A, like or like support or something, like, "Yo, how many boxes are left?" And then on Twitter, like a week later, he's like, "I'm
Got my box. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why we're trying to get good, though, isn't it? So that we get that that privilege.
I think it'll be like probably mid-November, realistically. It was meant to be end of October.
Okay.
But I still think that's plenty of time to work on getting a solid practice routine going again.
Yeah, I mean,
entering weeklies.
I was going to say, in terms of practice routine, I think you'll actually find it easier to like practice more because you've got so much you can learn on the box, and it'll feel like, it's that positive feedback, like you were saying, like you'll have that gratification of, I've learned to wave dash on the box within like a week or whatever. So I think it's like really rewarding learning new tech skill. So I think it'll actually make you want to solo practice more. But I was going to say, go on.
I was saying between now and then though.
Yeah,
Like
so
obviously, like what? That's like 6 weeks away.
yeah,
We've
so I
had
was
like
gonna say between then, I think you should probably be focusing more on like analysis sort of stuff, or like play less games but think about and watch them back more. Um, just so that you're not wasting like effort on like, oh, I've gotten a lot better at execution on my controller, and then I have to throw that all out the window and learn it again on the box.
okay, so maybe like more like game plan matchup specific
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Because I think a good chunk of what we've been talking about and focusing on has been like executing punishes better and stuff like that. So I think we want to shift it more towards like game plans. It sounds like learning how to analyze your own stuff might need a bit of work as well.
I think so. Yeah.
Because it's funny because for me, I actually find doing analysis like it's like my go-to way of improving, if that makes sense. Which isn't the most effective thing sometimes, but it's like it's more natural to me than just like playing a shit ton.
Mm.
But that's just because of how much I've done over the years. But yeah, I think that would be the better way to approach the next few weeks and maybe month or two. I might actually I'm gonna have a look at the UK like netplay brackets actually, so we can
Okay.
sort of figure out
Some goals,
some goals for
some
that.
matchups.
Um, pinned. I don't usually think that having a goal of like I want to win this one or beat this person's a good like only goal, if that makes sense. But it sounds like in your case it would be more motivating than I want to get good at this situation or whatever. So let me see if I can really. Okay, nice.
Yeah, the whole like because I was doing that for a bit. Like I just want to get better at this situation. I felt like there's a bit of like a trap of like you want to get better at this situation and you kind of give up something else that isn't completely in your mastery, or another situation comes up after it and you're sort of just like I don't know. For me, it's like for God's sake, like now I've got to deal with this.
Yeah, I will say
I don't.
also like the recognition part and the beating people and getting upset part is like um so for me like that used to be my main focus until I got to like wherever I am, third in UK or whatever, and now it's become more of like focusing on the really nitty gritty stuff because like it's a sort of been there done that sort of thing, whereas like you've still got all of that to experience, and that's like some of the most fun part of competing is being on the rise and like getting these upsets and beating people you want to beat. Whereas for me, if I enter like 90% of tournaments, there's no one really that I want to train up and beat.
Yeah, I do
So
think the thing you said about having a weekly is something that's like really missed outside of
yeah,
London, Bristol, and stuff. We did start one just before COVID in Portsmouth. We'd done two, and then there was lockdown.
yeah, that's unfortunate. I do definitely think that one of the best ways for people to improve. Um,
Yeah,
okay, I've got a few brackets up here. Do you want me to screen share, I guess, for a bit?
yeah, you can
Probably
do.
makes it easier.
I know it's normally like Ryzen, Mordo, GG, Apollo, them sorts of people. Oh, Pi's good as well.
133. I'm trying to think people around your. Is there anyone off the top of your head that you want to beat? Out of interest, like people you might have lost to a couple of times, or people that you've gone close with.
Gone close with Ica.
Yep.
I'm in like a weird place where like I beat like Dekudon,
Yeah.
but I'll lose to like sometimes I'll lose to Yuo or I'll lose to Raiden.
Raiden the Falco or Fox?
Yeah, Falco.
Falco.
Like I lost 2-1 to him, so I'm like in like a weird mid range.
Okay.
I don't know who in like that sort of range is like a decent goal that I couldn't just play at any point and like maybe I win. Like Yuo, like whenever I play him, it's like it can go either way. I think we've got like a pretty close record, so it's not
Yeah.
really a.
Well, one of the things I always find nice is like if I have someone I'm close with like that, I know that if I put in a little bit more work than them, then I'll start to win every set rather than it go back and forth, and I feel like that can be rewarding as well. If sort of like I've got the one up on you now.
Yeah.
But if but I do think the most motivating one is of course like there's somebody a tier above you that you're like I want to beat you, and then you do it. So I'm trying to. So who are the top players into these? I guess got Modest, Mordo, GG, Rhizon, Loster, Kingu,
yeah.
Look at these other ones.
Yeah, see, I beat Deku. And then I lose to Lewin. Who's Lewin? I don't even know who Lewin is. I think he's a fox, if I remember right.
Isn't Lewin... Is he the... I want to say he's Irish. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I was really, really close to beating him. Like, I think it was last game, last stop, and like I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm good, and then sometimes I feel like I'm awful.
Max as well. Actually.
Max is good.
So this one lost to Liam, and then is that DQ?
Oh, I just DQ'd. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the only one you went to?
Livers. Livers was
Livers as well.
Yeah, he has quite a few. So who do you think are like the more reasonable?
Of those we just said. Probably Rhizon, Livers are the two. I think.
I think so. Yeah, they're like the two closest in the tier above, I would say.
Yeah. I was gonna say some of the floaties could be beatable, like GG, Kingu, Loster, but it's gonna be harder to do that. I'm trying to think who else is around your level here. Do you think Liam's like around your level then? Or is he like above? I don't know how the sets go, so.
He's probably similar level to me.
Okay. Because I think it'll be good to have like some around your level and like one or two that are above.
I think like Liam, Keanu Reeves.
Who is
Deku.
Keanu Reeves?
I don't know. He's just a Fox player.
Keanu Reeves. I think he's probably in that higher tier actually. But...
Yeah, Liam, Yuo. Who else is there?
How do you do versus Chala?
I haven't played him.
Okay. Pi as well.
He's probably the same level.
I was going to say, I think you're around the same level. Is Apollo a puff as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I lose to Paphos every time. Holy shit! I want to be that guy. Yeah, I hate losing to that guy.
All right, we can focus on him then. That reaction is like all I need to know who we should work on.
Dude, the way I lose them sets are like so tilting. Like I would love to just never lose to him again.
Yeah, you've got to channel that sort of salt though. That's like one of the better ways to improve, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've got.
I think Matt Smith is actually somebody slightly above that. I would like to be as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I think he's like another. He's in like the Libbers tier, I think.
yeah. I think one of the good things with some of these players is, like, for example, if you get good versus Falco first by like being able to beat Liam and Raiden, then that also translates to being able to beat Matt Smith and then to Mordo and then Modest, you know. So it's like a good way to progress through the bracket. So I think picking matchups like Fox and Falco are always good. Let's see. So I definitely think Falco's one then. That we want to focus on. Okay. Fox as well, because we've got Pi, Keanu Reeves, Libbers, Ryzon. And then would you want to work on some of the floaties, I guess?
I would like to work on Peach, I think.
Yeah, by the looks of it, Peach and Puff are pretty common.
Yeah. I'm not too fussed about like Samus or like Mario Brothers or anything like that. Like I feel like if you're just like really good versus Peach, Puff and stuff, you're just probably just gonna be good.
Yeah, a lot of the floaties like skills are transferable.
Yeah.
Peach, Puff, and then Sheik as well. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we look at like I'm trying to think of like where you would be seated in the average bracket, so we can sort of work out who roughly you'd end up playing against.
I'm not sure because, like you can see on that one, I randomly got seeded fifth, so I went against Deku and to Lewin.
Yeah.
I think I kind of get seeded fairly mid lower.
Yeah, which is kind of unfortunate sometimes because it usually means you have a really hard game first round, which can kind of suck. Yeah, like that 7 and 10.
That's fine though, right? Like 7 and 10 out of like 20 is okay.
Yeah, but compared to, like, for example, if you look at Max's first round, you get like an easy warm-up game or whatever, whereas like you're just straight into it, especially if you're doing it straight after work or something. You know, playing a game that hard first round is pretty tough.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I guess it's the same even if I was like 8th or 9th, I'd be against Deku or Charlotte. It's the same sort of thing.
Okay, yeah, so I think So I think we can sort of break this down into Falco Fox. I think the easiest way to progress versus Falco and Fox is just to improve your punish game, honestly. But because we're not trying to focus on the execution, I would look more into sort of like what different DI mix-ups you can do. Focus on like some edgeguard flowcharts you can figure out. Like go through and look at your combos and see which ones you're messing up or you don't know how to follow up on, and try to figure out what best way to extend stuff is. Because honestly, like, you can be really good at neutral, but then you play a Falco that is just really good at punish game, and they get one random like shine out of shield or roll shine or something, and you just die.
Yeah.
So definitely punish is better.
What would you do in terms of like? Would you like try and like find someone play a best of 5 and then go over it straight away and try and work that stuff out, or do you not think that's sort of like you don't think there's like a process to?
No, I think there is. You can do it that way, which is good for identifying like where you mess up in like tournaments / high pressure sets, or you can just play a set of friendlies versus someone and then look through all of the friendlies at like 4 speed or a good chunk of them and see what the most common like patterns are of you messing a punish up, or where you feel like you know, if somebody else was in your shoes, they'd get more of a punish than you. I think that's best 2 ways to approach that. So that's Falco and Fox, and then Peach and Puff, I think your level is more about sort of not getting hit by silly stuff. So up throw arrests, getting random down smashed, getting cheesed off stage, stuff like that. I think they're way more important than, say, milking an extra like 20% from a combo or something. Just in terms of like impact on stocks and on the set. So I think versus them again, if you play like a couple of games and then watch back and like see how you're getting grabbed, see how you're getting down smashed, and like how you can avoid those, and then just figuring out some like basic options to cover, because like a lot of Peaches and Puffs play like quite flowcharty in general. So like you'll play a lot of Peaches that only do like flow. Yeah, or like they'll only dash attack, and they'll dash attack like every time in certain spots and stuff like that. So having like really simple answers to that stuff, and taking the time to go through that, I think will be important.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a good way to learn that would just be to sort of binge watch a lot of Ginger's analysis, have like floaty matchups. Especially because he does a lot of analysis for his subs. That a lot of them will be like around your level, so you'll probably end up making this like similar mistakes.
Are they just on his YouTube?
On his
channel?
YouTube, he has a ton, yeah. And then Sheik's a bit of both, really, where you need to learn like how to avoid the grabs and beat all the dumb stuff they do, like random F tilts and stuff. But then you also need like a decent punish game. Like obviously you need to edge guard hard.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the one that requires the most work. Well,
do you think it's worth leaving until I've worked on the other? Or do you think it's okay working on all like 3 groups at the same time?
Well, I mean, the good thing about that is that, like, you know, the Falco Fox stuff is more about solo practice and execution. The Peach Puff stuff is more about knowledge and like analysis. And then Sheik's just like a mix of the both. So I think it is possible to like work on all 3, but I think the ones that'll see the most results will be the Falco Fox ones, because they seem to take up most of the bracket. But yeah, I mean, you can switch it around from now and then depending on like if you're losing to Peach every week. You know, if you're always getting 13th losing to UO or something, then I'd probably, you know, skew your practice more towards Peach.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would be the best way to go about that. Like I said, I wouldn't grind the actual execution on the punish game stuff too hard versus fast fallers, given that you're going to be getting a box in the next month or so. But you should still practice it a little bit. But I think doing more of the watching your own games and like picking out when you're dropping punishes and what new like punish trees you need to learn and stuff like that, I think will help a lot.
And what do you reckon? I should just watch like yourself or Mango or Ginger punishing, like just playing versus like IBDW, or like, do you think there's merit in watching them playing like a worse?
I would watch them play worse people, because a lot of the time, if it's like Mango versus IBDW, first of all, IBDW will be doing way better DI than the people you're playing, and secondly, because it's in tournament, obviously their punish game is going to be worse. Whereas if you watch like Ginger beat someone up on his stream or something like that, I think that'll be a much better like examples to look for. Yeah, I think that would be the best way to go about that.
Okay.
Obviously, you can ask me anytime about certain situations as well. But yeah, if you're happier than that, then I would recommend like entering. Doesn't have to be the one on Monday, but like the one afterward maybe, or the Italian one you said about as well.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah. I'm not really sure in terms of notes. We talked about like quite a few different things, so I guess would it be most helpful for you if I just sort of break down how I want you to approach some net play weeklies? If that's what you want to do. Like I said, you do also have the option to just take a break for a bit if you do feel like that would
No,
be
I
better.
took a break like basically all last month, so I feel like if I'm gonna do something, I should like I'm okay to do it now.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. I had a thought. I can't remember it now. It was about Punish game stuff. It's basically like sometimes I don't really know. I can't really tell if what parts of my Punish game are lacking, or
Yeah.
like why I'm dropping certain stuff outside of it just being just pure execution mistakes.
Yeah. I think again that just comes down to you need to watch more and analyze your own play more. It will be hard at first.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have any of my like notes I did back from like 2015 or whatever, but my analysis is really shit back then. But yeah, I think if you, I honestly think the best start is just going to be to binge watch a load of Ginger's analysis and then like work your skills from there. Because I think he gives like a pretty good foundation of like what you should be looking for in videos, and how you would approach a lot of situations.
Does he have any sub-analysis games of him versus his subs versus Fox and Falco as well? I assume.
Yeah, he has loads on Fox and Falco. He has ones on pretty much every match, I think.
Alright, that's sick. I'll watch through some of them then, and maybe rewatch some of the other lessons you've done.
Yeah, that would be good. I think a lot of them are like people similar to your level as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to wrap up, I think that like winning a weekly like this is a very achievable goal, or at least like making some upsets. A lot of the stuff at your level is just about like having more knowledge than your opponent and just having like competent punish game, versus like fast fallers and like midweights anyway. And then, like I said, versus floaties is literally just about not getting cheesed a lot of the time. Which it's obviously easier said than done, but I think that's the best way forward in terms of like finding results and beating some of these people, and maybe getting your name mentioned once or twice in a Discord thread.
Yeah, that sounds good, man.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah. Any more questions? If you want to talk any more about it, then DM me anytime.
Okay, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. All right. See ya.
Let's speak to you in a bit, dude. Thank you.